"How dare you raise your hand against your mother?" Abuka's father asked. What happens when Abuka, a gentle boy, turns wayward and slaps his mother? Part 2. Days turned into weeks, and Abuka's behavior showed no signs of improvement. If anything, his waywardness seemed to intensify, leaving his family bewildered and deeply hurt. Despite Angela's prayers and Ebuka's stern warnings, Abuka remained defiant, unapologetic, and indifferent to the chaos he was causing. One morning, Ebuka decided to confront his son again. The family had gathered in the compound, with the morning sun casting long shadows on the ground. Ebuka, his voice firm and authoritative, called out to Abuka, who was lounging lazily under the shade of a mango tree. "Abuka, come here," Ebuka commanded. Abuka took his time, slowly rising and strolling toward his father with a look of disdain. "What now?" he asked, his tone dripping with insolence. Ebuka's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "This behavior of yours must stop. You have brought nothing but shame to this family. Do you think this is how a man conducts himself?" Abuka crossed his arms, his expression defiant. "And what if I don't care about being a man in your eyes? Maybe I'm tired of living up to everyone's expectations." Angela, standing nearby, clasped her hands together as tears filled her eyes. "Abuka, please, listen to your father. We love you, and we only want what's best for you." Abuka turned to her, his face hardening. "If you loved me, you'd stop trying to control me. I'm not a child anymore." The words cut Angela deeply, and she looked to Ebuka for support. Ebuka took a step closer to his son, his voice rising. "You will respect your mother. Is this how we raised you? To speak to her like this?" Abuka scoffed. "Maybe if you both stopped acting like you know everything, I'd have some respect to give." The tension in the air was palpable. Neka, who had been silently observing from the doorway of the house, stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Abuka, that is enough. Whatever you are going through, this is not the way to handle it. Apologize to your parents." Abuka turned to her with a smirk. "Oh, so now you're the family's peacemaker? Spare me the lecture, Neka." Neka's eyes narrowed, but she held her ground. "I may not be your mother, but I am part of this family, and I will not stand by and watch you destroy it with your disrespect." Abuka shrugged and walked away, leaving the family in stunned silence. His footsteps faded as he disappeared down the path leading to the village square. Later that day, Abuka's antics took a more public turn. He had taken to hanging around with a group of idle young men in the village, most of whom were known for their troublesome behavior. They spent their days gambling, drinking palm wine, and causing disturbances. At the village square, Abuka and his companions were seated under a large iroko tree, laughing loudly and mocking passers-by. One elderly man, carrying a bundle of firewood, stopped to admonish them. "Abuka, is this what you've become?" the old man asked, his voice filled with disappointment. "Your father's name is one of honor in this village, yet here you are, tarnishing it." Abuka stood up, towering over the frail man. "And who asked for your opinion, old man? Go mind your business." The old man shook his head sadly. "May the gods open your eyes before it's too late." Abuka's companions jeered as the man walked away, but their laughter was short-lived. Another villager, a young man named Chijioke, approached the group. Chijioke was known for his sense of justice and wasn't one to back down from confrontation. "Abuka, you've gone too far," Chijioke said. "Disrespecting an elder is unacceptable. Have you no shame?" Abuka smirked. "And what will you do about it, Chijioke? Lecture me to death?" Chijioke stepped closer, his voice steady. "If that's what it takes to knock some sense into you, then so be it." The tension escalated quickly. Abuka, fueled by anger and the cheers of his friends, shoved Chijioke. The young man stumbled but regained his footing, his fists clenched. A scuffle broke out, drawing a crowd of villagers who tried to separate the two. When the fight was finally broken up, Chijioke's shirt was torn, and Abuka had a cut on his lip. The village elders arrived to restore order, their expressions stern. "Abuka, this is unacceptable," one elder said. "You will come before the council to explain your actions." Abuka glared at the elder. "Do whatever you want. I don't care." That evening, back at home, the family sat in tense silence. The events of the day had left everyone on edge. Angela's face was pale, her eyes red from crying. Ebuka paced the room, his frustration evident. "This boy will bring disgrace to us all," Ebuka said, his voice low but filled with anger. "What did I do wrong to deserve this?" Neka, seated at the dining table, looked thoughtful. "Maybe he's acting out because he feels misunderstood. We need to find out what's truly troubling him." Angela shook her head. "This is more than just rebellion. Something has changed in him. It's like he's no longer the son I knew." Neka placed a hand on Angela's shoulder. "We will figure this out, Angela. Together. But we need to be patient." Ebuka stopped pacing and turned to them. "Patient? How can I be patient when my son is destroying everything I've worked for? If he continues like this, he will have no future." "Well, you have other children, my children." "Our children," Neka said. Angela's tears flowed freely as she buried her face in her hands. "I just want my son back. The boy who loved his family and respected his elders. What happened to him?" The question hung in the air, unanswered, as the family grappled with the pain of Abuka's actions. Outside, the night was quiet, but within the walls of their home, the storm raged on. The morning sun had barely risen when Angela and Ebuka prepared to revisit the seer. Their hearts were heavy with unanswered questions, but they were united in their resolve to uncover the truth behind their son's sudden change. Angela, clutching her shawl tightly around her shoulders, walked beside Ebuka in silence, each step carrying the weight of their shared despair. When they arrived at the seer's hut, the air was thick with the scent of burning herbs. The small, thatched structure seemed even more mysterious than before, its walls adorned with symbols and talismans. The seer, an elderly man with piercing eyes, greeted them with a knowing nod. "You have returned," he said, his voice low and measured. "I knew you would." Angela stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Please, we need answers. Abuka, our son, he's not the same. He's become someone we don't recognize. What is happening to him?" The seer motioned for them to sit on the woven mats laid out on the floor. He closed his eyes, murmuring incantations under his breath as he reached for a wooden bowl filled with cowries. Shaking the bowl, he cast the cowries onto the mat and studied their arrangement with intense concentration. After a long silence, the seer opened his eyes and fixed his gaze on the couple. "There is no doubt," he began solemnly. "What ails your son is not of this world. It is witchcraft." Angela gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. Ebuka's expression hardened as he leaned forward. "Witchcraft? Who would do this to my son?" The seer shook his head slowly. "The source of evil is hidden. It is shrouded in shadows, protected by secrecy. To name the one responsible would require a deeper journey, one that carries great risk." Angela's voice broke with desperation. "But why? Why would anyone do this to Abuka?" "Jealousy, greed, vengeance," the seer listed, his tone heavy. "Such darkness often stems from a heart consumed by these things. But do not despair. There is hope, though the path will not be easy." Ebuka's fists clenched. "Tell us what we must do." The seer nodded. "You must seek out the elders of the land. They possess wisdom that has been passed down through generations. Together, they can guide you toward a solution. But beware, for the road ahead is fraught with challenges. Your faith, courage, and unity as a family will be tested." Angela wiped away a tear, her resolve strengthening. "We will do whatever it takes to save our son." The couple left the seer's hut with a renewed sense of purpose. Their first stop was the home of Chief Okonkwo, one of the most respected elders in the village. Chief Okonkwo's compound was bustling with activity, but he welcomed them warmly, offering them cola nuts and palm wine. After listening to their plight, Chief Okonkwo stroked his grey beard thoughtfully. What you describe is a grave matter. Witchcraft is not something to be taken lightly. It requires a collective effort to combat such evil. What do you suggest we do, Chief? Ebuka asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. Chief Okonkwo leaned forward. We must call a council of elders. Together, we will consult the oracle of the land and seek guidance. But this will take time. In the meantime, you must remain vigilant. Protect your home and your family, for those who deal in witchcraft are cunning and ruthless. Angela nodded, though fear gnawed at her heart. Thank you, Chief. We are grateful for your help. As the Council of Elders was being convened, Angela and Ebuka took precautions at home. Angela spent hours in prayer, calling upon the divine to shield their family from harm. Ebuka, on the other hand, fortified the compound, ensuring that every door and window was secure. Neka, unaware of their visit to the seer, watched their actions with curiosity but said nothing. That evening, as the family gathered for dinner, the tension in the air was palpable. Abuka, as usual, was late to the table. When he finally sauntered in, his expression was one of indifference. "You're late again," Ebuka said, his tone sharp. Abuka shrugged. "I was busy." Angela's eyes filled with sadness as she placed a plate of food in front of him. "Please, Abuka. Sit and eat. We are still a family, no matter what." Abuka rolled his eyes but sat down. The meal was eaten mostly in silence, the only sounds being the clinking of utensils and the occasional sigh. Neka tried to lighten the mood by asking about the day's events, but her efforts were met with little enthusiasm. After dinner, Angela and Ebuka retreated to their room to discuss the next steps. "We need to be careful," Angela whispered. "If the seer is right, the person behind this could be close to us." Ebuka nodded, his expression grim. "I've thought the same. But we can't let suspicion tear us apart. We must stay focused on finding a solution." Angela reached for his hand. "We will get through this, Ebuka. We have to." The next day, the Council of Elders met under the ancient baobab tree at the center of the village. The atmosphere was solemn as Ebuka and Angela recounted their story. The elders listened intently, their faces etched with concern. After a lengthy discussion, the oldest of the elders, Papa Udochukwu, spoke. "This is no ordinary matter. Witchcraft is a sickness that festers in the shadows. We must shine a light on it to destroy it. The oracle will guide us, but the process will require sacrifices, not of life, but of time, resources, and unwavering faith." Ebuka bowed his head respectfully. "We are prepared to do whatever it takes." Angela's voice was steady as she added, "Just tell us what we need to do." Papa Udochukwu nodded. "Very well. The first step is to purify your home. You must cleanse it of any lingering darkness. Then, we will consult the oracle to identify the source of this evil." The elders provided them with a list of rituals and items needed for the purification. Angela and Ebuka set to work immediately, gathering herbs, oils, and blessed water. Neka, curious about their sudden activities, asked what was going on. "Just a precaution," Ebuka replied, his tone neutral. "We want to ensure the safety of our home." Neka nodded, her expression unreadable. "Let me know if there's anything I can do to help." Angela managed a small smile. "Thank you, Neka. Your support means a lot." As night fell, Angela and Ebuka performed the purification rituals under the watchful eyes of the elders. The process was arduous, but they felt a sense of hope with each step completed. When the final chant was uttered, the air in the house seemed lighter, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. But their journey was far from over. The next phase would take them to the oracle, a sacred and mysterious entity that held the key to uncovering the truth. As they prepared for this new challenge, Angela and Ebuka clung to the belief that their love for their son and their determination to save him would see them through. Yet, in the back of their minds, a question lingered: who was behind the witchcraft? And how far would they go to protect their secret? The journey to the oracle's shrine was shrouded in a somber silence. Angela and Ebuka walked ahead, their steps purposeful, while Abuka trailed reluctantly behind. The elders, carrying sacred items for the rituals, formed a solemn procession. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the village itself held its breath. The shrine was nestled deep within a forest, hidden from prying eyes. Its entrance was marked by an archway of woven palm fronds, and the path leading to it was lined with offerings left by those who had come seeking the oracle's wisdom. The sound of a distant drum echoed through the trees, setting the tone for what was to come. As they entered the shrine, the pungent aroma of burning incense filled their nostrils. The oracle, a woman cloaked in layers of vibrant fabrics, sat cross-legged on a raised platform. Her eyes, sharp and penetrating, seemed to look straight into the souls of those before her. "You have come seeking answers," the oracle intoned, her voice resonating with an otherworldly quality. "But know this: the truth demands sacrifice and courage. Are you prepared?" Angela and Ebuka exchanged a glance, their resolve unwavering. "We are," Ebuka replied firmly. The oracle nodded and gestured for them to sit. The elders arranged the offerings before her: a clay pot of palm wine, kola nuts, white cloth, and a live cockerel. The oracle began to chant, her voice rising and falling in a hypnotic rhythm. The drumbeats grew louder, and the atmosphere became charged with an energy that was both unsettling and awe-inspiring. The purification began with a cleansing ritual. Each member of the family, including Abuka, was anointed with sacred oil and sprinkled with water infused with herbs. Abuka's reluctance was evident in his scowl and sluggish movements, but Angela's firm grip on his arm ensured he didn't bolt. "Why must I be part of this nonsense?" Abuka muttered under his breath. "Because it concerns you," Ebuka said sharply, his patience wearing thin. "You will do as you are told." The oracle's gaze flicked toward Abuka, her expression unreadable. "The young one resists, but the spirits are patient," she said cryptically before resuming her chants. Next came the sacrifices. The cockerel was offered to the spirits, its blood collected in a ceremonial bowl. The oracle dipped her fingers into the blood and drew symbols on the foreheads of Angela, Ebuka, and Abuka. The symbols seemed to pulse with a faint glow, adding to the air of mystique. Finally, the oracle instructed Angela to kneel before her. "You seek the truth," she said. "Close your eyes and open your heart. The spirits will speak to you in the language of visions." Angela obeyed, her hands trembling slightly as she clasped them together in prayer. The oracle placed her hands on Angela's head and began a low chant. The drumbeat slowed, each one echoing like a heartbeat, and the air grew still. Angela's vision blurred, and she felt as if she were being pulled into a vortex. Colors swirled before her eyes, forming shapes and images that shifted too quickly to grasp. Then, everything went black. In the darkness, a figure emerged, a woman with a familiar face. Angela's heart clenched as she recognized her. It was Neka. The vision unfolded like a fragmented dream. She saw Neka in secret meetings with a shadowy figure, chanting incantations over an effigy of Abuka. She saw her stepchildren's laughter twisted into something cruel, their hands outstretched toward something Angela couldn't see. The images were fleeting, but the message was clear. When Angela's eyes flew open, she was gasping for breath. The room spun, and she clutched at Ebuka for support. The oracle's gaze was steady, as if she already knew what Angela had seen. "Speak," the oracle commanded. "What have the spirits shown you?" Angela's voice was barely above a whisper. "Neka," she said, her words trembling with disbelief. "She's the one behind it." A stunned silence filled the shrine. The elders exchanged uneasy glances, and Ebuka's face twisted with a mixture of shock and anger. "Neka?" he repeated, his voice incredulous. "Are you certain?" Angela nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I saw her. She's been using witchcraft against Abuka." "But why? Why would she do this?" The oracle's voice cut through the silence. "The why is not for me to answer. That lies within her heart. What matters now is what you choose to do with this knowledge." Ebuka rose to his feet, his fists clenched. "She has betrayed my family. She has betrayed me. I trusted her." One of the elders, Papa Udochukwu, placed a hand on Ebuka's shoulder. "Do not act in haste," he advised. "If what Angela has seen is true, then we must approach this with wisdom. Confrontation without proof will only lead to more harm." Angela wiped her tears, her resolve hardening. "We must protect Abuka and our family. If Neka is truly behind this, we need to find a way to break the spell and expose her." The oracle nodded. "The spirits have revealed the source of the darkness, but the battle is far from over. To free the young one from its grasp, you must seek the guidance of the land's ancestral spirits. Only they can sever the ties that bind him." The journey back to the village was heavy with tension. Angela and Ebuka avoided discussing Neka's betrayal, but the weight of what they had learned hung over them like a storm cloud. Abuka, oblivious to the revelation, remained sullen and uncooperative. That evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Angela and Ebuka exchanged guarded glances. Neka, unaware of the storm brewing around her, served the meal with her usual warmth. Her children, Ada, Kyoma, and Obi, chattered about their day, their laughter echoing through the room. Angela forced a smile, her heart aching with the burden of what she now knew. Ebuka, too, struggled to maintain his composure, his mind racing with plans to uncover the truth and protect his family. As the night wore on, Angela and Ebuka retreated to their room to discuss their next steps. "We must act carefully," Angela said, her voice low. "If Neka suspects we know, she could become more dangerous." Ebuka nodded, his jaw tight. "We need proof. Something undeniable that we can present to the elders and the village. Until then, we must watch her closely." Angela reached for his hand. "Whatever happens, we must stay united. For Abuka's sake." Ebuka squeezed her hand, his resolve firm. "We will get through this. Together." Outside their room, the night was still and quiet, but the air seemed charged with an unspoken tension. The battle to save their son and uncover the truth about Neka had begun, and Angela and Ebuka knew it would test their strength, their faith, and their family in ways they could never have imagined. Angela and Ebuka's determination to uncover the truth about Neka's betrayal led them on a careful path of observation and quiet investigation. Days turned into weeks as they sought tangible evidence to support the vision Angela had seen at the oracle's shrine. Finally, after much patience and vigilance, their efforts bore fruit. One quiet afternoon, as Neka and her children were away at the market, Angela and Ebuka took the opportunity to search her room. Hidden beneath the bed, they found a black clay pot adorned with strange symbols. Inside the pot was a small figurine crudely crafted to resemble Abuka, bound tightly with red and black threads. Surrounding the figurine were dried herbs and animal bones. Angela's hands trembled as she held up the pot. "This is it," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "This is what she used to bind Abuka." Ebuka's face darkened with anger. "How could she do this?" he growled. "After everything we've done for her children, this is how she repays us." Angela placed a calming hand on his arm. "We will confront her. But we must also understand why she did this." That evening, as the family gathered in the living room, Angela and Ebuka stepped forward, holding the clay pot. Abuka, still sullen and unrepentant, watched with disinterest until his mother addressed Neka. "Neka," Angela began, her voice steady but firm, "we found this in your room. Do you have anything to say?" Neka's eyes widened in shock, and her children gasped. Ada, Kyoma, and Obi exchanged nervous glances, sensing the gravity of the situation. "What is the meaning of this?" Nneka demanded, though her voice wavered. "Why are you accusing me?" Ebuka stepped forward, his expression stern. "Don't lie to us, Nneka. The oracle revealed the truth, and now we have proof. This clay pot contains the spell you used to corrupt Abuka. Why did you do it?" Nneka's composure crumbled, and she sank to her knees, tears streaming down her face. I didn't mean for things to go this far," she sobbed. "Please, let me explain." Through her tears, Nneka revealed her backstory. She had faced rejection and ridicule throughout her life. Her first marriage ended in heartbreak when her husband abandoned her, leaving her to fend for herself. When Ebuka came for her hand in marriage, she saw a way to a stable life. She saw it as a second chance. "But I was never truly at peace," Nneka admitted. "I watched as Angela shared a bond one could never have with Ebuka. I saw how he favored Abuka, how he planned to leave everything to him. My own children, they were always in his shadow. I felt invisible, unwanted." Her voice broke as she continued. I thought if I could weaken Abuka, if I could make him fall from grace, Ebuka would have no choice but to turn to my children. I only wanted a better future for them." Angela's eyes filled with tears, a mixture of sorrow and anger. "You had a place in this family, Nneka. You didn't need to resort to this." Ebuka's voice was heavy with disappointment. "You betrayed our trust, Nneka. You let your insecurities destroy the peace in our home." The elders, who had been summoned to witness the confrontation, weighed in on the matter. Papa Udochukwu spoke gravely. "Nneka's actions have brought shame upon herself and her children. But now, we must focus on undoing the harm she has caused." With the elders' guidance, Angela and Ebuka performed a cleansing ritual. They smashed the clay pot, breaking the spell that had bound Abuka. The air seemed to lighten as the shards scattered, and a sense of relief washed over the room. Abuka, who had been watching silently, suddenly clutched his head and fell to his knees. He gasped for breath, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from his chest. When he looked up, his eyes were clear, and his expression was one of bewilderment and remorse. "Mother," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Father, I don't know what came over me. I'm so sorry." Angela rushed to him, pulling him into a tight embrace. "You're back," she murmured, tears streaming down her face. "My son is back." Ebuka joined them, placing a hand on Abuka's shoulder. "We forgive you, my son. What matters is that you're with us again." The aftermath of Nneka's actions was a time of reckoning. The elders decreed that she and her children must leave the village as reparation for the harm caused. Angela and Ebuka, though hurt, ensured that they left with provisions and the means to start anew elsewhere. Before departing, Nneka knelt before Angela and Ebuka, her face etched with regret. "I'm sorry for everything," she said. "I hope one day you can find it in your hearts to forgive me." Angela's response was measured but compassionate. "We forgive you, Nneka. But forgiveness does not erase the consequences of your actions. May you find peace and learn from this." Life in the household slowly returned to normal. Abuka worked hard to regain the trust of his parents and the respect of the villagers. His transformation served as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of forgiveness. As for the villagers, the incident became a cautionary tale. "Do not let jealousy lead you astray," they would say, repeating the moral learned from Nneka's downfall. "And remember, your closest ally might just be your enemy." Before we revealed that it was Nneka who charmed Abuka, who did you have in mind? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this story. Check our channel for more heartwarming and amazing stories like this.